Hello, culinary wine curious people. This is Kirsten Fox. I'm coming to you today from rainy Park City, Utah, and we'll get started in a minute on our topic, which is what are the 10 mandatory styles of wine to have on any basic wine list? These are the styles that basically will cover you no matter who walks into your restaurant. And then you can always add to this list, but this is just a framework that I advise all of my restaurants to start with. So, Kirsten Fox, I'm the CEO of the Culinary Wine Institute and headmistress of Fox School of Wine, and I write for the Huffington Post. So all sorts of fingers in the wine pie, if you so to speak. So today I will be drinking a Cabernet Sauvignon, and this is Neil Ellis. Let's see, can you see that? It might be a little bright. Hold on. There we go. I'm not sure if that's washing out to you, but Neil Ellis, 2010 Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's out of Stellenbosch, South Africa. So I'll talk about Cabernet in a little bit, but it's nice. It's got a screw cap, so it can go anywhere, which is, oh, lovely. So, Neil Ellis. So Neil Ellis is a very famous producer out of South Africa, has a variety of different wines at different price points throughout the spectrum. And Stellenbosch is a region that is very famous for their red wines particularly. So I will take a sip of this, wipe my hands off because I did a little spill there. If I had a napkin here, I would be able to wipe it off, which any good server or manager should have. So I don't have it with me. So this is, it's nice Cabernet. Now, so, Cabernets bring a lot of dark berries, and really cassis is an aroma that a lot of people smell. And this one has a little back end of some smoke, which is really interesting, really great. This would be great with barbecued meats. And it's even got a little bit of smoke on the palate as well. Really, the tannins aren't super crazy overwhelming in this wine, which is nice. I don't know if you can see. I'll turn my glass. You see those nice legs coming down the side there? This is a pretty good amount of alcohol in this. Not a huge amount. Let's see what the alcohol content is. It is, well, yeah, 14.5. A little higher than I expected, but it is only 1:30 in the afternoon, so maybe I should be careful with how much I drink. So anyway, on to the subject of our webinar today. Let's go back to our PowerPoint. So, key takeaways today. Why do we even care about a basic framework of wines? I mean, really, isn't it just kind of what everybody sees being purchased in the stores around them, or what your friends like, or what you like? So why worry about it? What are the 10 mandatory wine styles and why? And then how do you cover them on your wine list? So first question here, why do we really even worry about why do we care about any kind of a framework? Well, the framework is there to help you deal with guests who might not have your own palate. Just like you're going to be offering different styles of salads to guests that come in and different appetizers. You've got, fish, chicken, beef, vegetarian, those types of things. Those are really important to keep your guests happy who are coming in for an experience and they want to really see what they want. So wine is like that. It has certain styles, and you need to cover them minimally on your list with 10. And then beyond that, you can always add extras. So that's why we really worry about this. It's just like setting a framework for your list at a minimum as to what it needs, just like you would want to have a beef dish, a chicken dish, a fish dish, vegetarian, that kind of thing. So we'll go back to our PowerPoint and let's look at some of the mandatory wine styles. And I'll have a really good resource for you at the end of this webinar as to how to cover all these. So don't leave mid-webinar. So first, wine style. Absolutely need a sparkling brut level of sweetness in your restaurant because people come in for celebrations. And if you don't have anything sparkling in your restaurant, you're going to be faced with offering them, beer. How about that? Or, the whole experience end of restaurants comes in when people are using you for their celebrations. So you want to have something that you can bring out that lends a celebratory feeling to a table. And I specify brut level of sweetness because that is the most popular in the United States in terms of sparkling wine to celebrate. And what that style means is it is not purely dry. It actually has a titch of sweetness in it, but the titch of sweetness is almost imperceptible because of the bubbles. So if you put a super high acid, completely dry sparkling wine in people's mouths with the bubbles, it actually increases the perception of the acid, and your guests will get literally like it's just very, 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 very acidic, which doesn't necessarily appeal to the wide population. So brut level of sweetness is what you see on many, many, many labels. I don't care what brand. Pick one in your price range for what you're doing at your restaurant, and that is what you would want to make sure you have on the list. And I wouldn't be pouring this by the glass if you don't have people coming in and you don't think you'll be really serving it enough, but you've got to have it on the list for celebrations in the restaurant. Hold on. I don't know if you guys can see my arrow, but next level, you need a light white wine. Now, light wines, and this will be part of the resource I share with you at the end, I'm going to say the most common that you see at restaurants is a Pinot Grigio or a Pinot Gris, but also Muscadet, Orvieto, Pinot Blanc, Prosecco, Rioja, a white Rioja, Soave out of Italy, a Chenin Blanc even can be light-bodied. So those styles, even into Rieslings as well. So these are styles that are very light-bodied on your palate, and they will pair with the lighter style foods on your menu. Then, following that, you need a medium weight white. And the most common one that I tend to see on lists is a Sauvignon Blanc, often out of California, sometimes out of New Zealand. That's a medium weight wine, and it has a very pleasing style to complement a lot of different dishes on a list in a medium weight. And when I'm saying weight style, I mean like milk. So we're talking skim milk, whole milk, and cream in this case. So our skim milk is Pinot Grigio, Pinot Blanc, Orvieto, those. Our whole milk is Sauvignon Blanc. Also Semillon, Verdejo, Albarino. These are all medium weight wines. And then our next wine would be heavy white. And that's going to be most commonly seen as Chardonnay in our country. But when you get up into some of the Italian styles, that's Falanghina, that's Gavi, Greco di Tufo, and then Macon in France, and Burgundy and Rhone, the Rhone region whites, and then also Viognier is really on the heavyweight style. So then I suggest bringing in an off-dry white. This is for sweet lovers. You're going to have people that come in and want sweet. So off-dry means there is sugar left in the wine. So off-dry white, my go-to is always a Riesling. You want to get the Riesling out of Germany. not out of Alsace, France, or Australia. Those are almost universally made in dry styles. Alsace and Australian Rieslings are almost always dry. So either Germany, or sometimes if you look at the labels, you'll see some off. So you'll definitely see off-dry Rieslings from the Finger Lakes areas in the United States, and some out of Oregon as well. So that's what I would put on as an off-dry white. And this category is controversial, but it needs to be there, is an off-dry red. And when I say off-dry red, what these are called, they're blends typically, and they have proprietal names like Apothic, Menage a Trois, Cocoa Bon, Cupcake Red Velvet, those kinds of wines. Because when I'm pouring at events, the most requested wine I get at wine events is, do you have an off-dry red? Or people will ask for a sweet red. So these two styles, although you might not sell a lot of them, they should be on your list. Then we go into the reds, and a light red, just like the whites, we're going to go through this. Light reds are often the Italian reds, up to about a Pinot Noir. So Italian reds like Dolcetta, Valpolicella, Chianti is a light-bodied red. Also in France, a Beaujolais is light-bodied. And Cabernet Franc, which we're seeing more and more of here in the United States as a single varietal, that's a light-bodied red. Then if you get into medium style, that's going to be, ending the light red really with the Pinot Noir kind of category. Medium reds are going to be most Bordeaux, wines from Bordeaux. You're going to have Brunellos out of Italy. And then the more common ones would be a Merlot, also Malbec. Both of those, Merlot and Malbecs, are the most common ones seen on US restaurant lists that are medium weight. And then heavyweight red. So we're at number 9 now, heavyweight red. So I'm having a Cabernet today. That's a nice heavyweight wine. And those heavyweight wines, you're looking at Barolos, you're looking at Petit Syrah, Ribera del Duero out of Spain are heavyweight, and then ending with Shiraz or Syrah that are super heavyweight. And then the 10th one that I think you need on your list, and I'll tell you which one I suggest pouring, and that is a dessert wine. And my favorite dessert wine to have in-house is a port that is a tawny or a ruby port. And the reason I like those is those are basically tied to a wine that you can have in your restaurant that doesn't go bad quickly. So the reason you'll see tawnies that are 10-year tawnies or 20-year tawnies, same with rubies, is they have been aged and they have been exposed to the air for 10 years, 20 years. The actual designation of the number is the average amount of time that the compilation of the wine in that bottle has been basically exposed to air. So you might have, it's a blend. All ports are a blend, except for single vintage, but they are basically a compilation of the vintages, say 12 years old, 11 years old, 10 years old, and maybe some 8-year-old port thrown in. It creates the port style of wine that they like to kind of have a house style, and that becomes their 10-year port. Same with rubies. Rubies tend to be brighter in fruits. Tawnies tend to have more of a nut and berry profile, just following their names as well, ruby and tawny. And the reason I like these is because since they've been exposed to the air so much in their creation, they don't go bad very quickly. You could keep a port. I mean, I've had a port in my refrigerator. It's a tawny. It's a 10-year tawny. It's called Otima, 10-year tawny. It's a 375, or maybe it's a 500. I think it's a 500 milliliter in a tall, skinny, see-through bottle. And I mean, it's been there 4 months, 5 months. And when I have a friend over and we want a little titch of something after dinner, we pour a little of that in. It's sweet, it's wonderful, and it's been sitting there for 4 months. So when you have a dessert wine, a sweet wine, you don't want to necessarily buy something that's going to go bad quickly, because you're not gonna sell that much of it. So just try a port, see how it sells. You're gonna pour a 3-ounce pour, not a 5-ounce pour, a 3-ounce pour of that. And if you want, you can try that Otima, and it's out of Portugal, and it's a beautiful wine, and it will, you only have 500 milliliters to get through in a bottle. So promised you I would share a resource, and I've been referring to it while I've been talking to you. It is my light to heavy list. So this is the white list, and this is the red list. And it is basically starts at the top and goes down to the bottom with light to heavy, both for whites and reds. And what I'll do, I don't have it up yet on my website. I will have it up in a couple hours. If you go to culinarywineinstitute.com, it comes in a sheet. It kind of looks like this. And so you print it out, and then you cut it into threes, and you share it with your serving staff, and they can just stick it right into their check holder. And then if somebody says, I've never heard of that wine, or how does your, I don't understand, let's just say you've got a Soave on the list. How does that compare to Pinot Grigio? I've heard of Pinot Grigio. What is a Soave? And your server can look at their check inside their checklist and say, it's almost like a Pinot Grigio, just slightly heavier. So they'll be really able to talk about a variety of different styles of wine. So those are the 10. Sparkling Brut, light, medium, heavy white, off-dry white, off-dry red, light, medium, heavy red, and a dessert wine. So hope that helps you in your quest to create the perfect wine list at your restaurant. And I will put that list up on my website. You'll see it at culinarywineinstitute.com, and go over to the side where there's the More tab, and go down on More, and you'll see free resources. And you'll see it listed there, light to heavy list for you to download for your staff. So cheers. Have a lovely evening or afternoon, whatever time it is when you see this, and hope that you are pouring nice, profitable wines and a wine list at your restaurant. Cheers.